Welcome back to the AM show. Time now for our big stories, and Benjamin is back in the studio. Benjamin.
Hey.
Hey, you feel quite poorly.
Well, it's another one of those off-color days, but here we are, Forgotten Country. And we're getting into our conversation this morning as we hit the big stories, and it's all about the NPP's Review Committee on Election 2024, which was chaired by the Honorable Mike Okwe, and they have proposed constitutional amendments, among others, in a report submitted to the National Council. But Party Secretary, the General Secretary of the party, has cautioned members to be circumspect in their utterances to keep the unity of the party intact. We ask, will these constitutional amendments do the magic for the NPP? And we have our guests joining us. But for starters, we have political scientist and director of the Center for European Studies at the University of Ghana, Dr. Kwame Asante. He joins the conversation. Good morning, Doc.
Good morning, Ben. How are you, my brother?
By God's grace, we are in there. We are hanging in here. It's a pleasure having you. MFA?
Yes, good morning, Doc.
Good morning to you.
Good morning to you too. I hope you're well.
I'm very well.
Well, yesterday, after that incident at the Alisa Hotel, especially when the chairman didn't want to talk to our reporter, I couldn't wait to hear you comment on this report and the entire constituents of the NPP and what's going on with them. So I'm personally happy to hear from you this morning.
Yes. You are going to hear from me right away, if you permit me. Yes. If you look at what transpired, it's in order. They want to put their house in order before they share the document. But trust me, the document will find expression in time, and we'll all be able to look at it. But that said, it is a good beginning from the party to do self-introspection and see what went wrong. In any meaningful democracy, after a major election, whether defeat or success, you need to be able to interrogate the issues on the ground and see what went wrong or what went right, so that you can build from it. So I think this is the first step that the party has taken. Now that they have the report, what they have to do is to carefully look at the suggestions, the problems, and tease all of them out. And then decide to look at them and implement them accordingly. Once they do that, they are going to have a clean start, and that try also to resolve unattended to problems in the party. Because I know from where I sit, the primaries they went through, a lot of problems happened, but they shoved them under the carpet. This is a time to clear all those debris and restore hope within the party. If they are able to do this and do it at the national level, at the regional level, and constituency level, and then beyond that, look at the country as a whole, I am sure they will have a clean state to begin a political life after the 2024 elections.
Right, just perfect that you have brought your initial reactions to that report. But just yesterday, after the submission of the reports, the minority reacted and they've been interacting with the media. Here's what they have to say.
We are embarking on a thank you tour from next week, which we refer to as giving thanks to God in all things. In all things, we give thanks to God. And we are showing appreciation to the Almighty God for the elections, though it didn't go in our favor, but we are going around to express our appreciation to the rank and file of our party. There will be a Thanksgiving service also, a Christian Thanksgiving service and a Muslim Thanksgiving service, which will also come up. So if from next week you see that the party, the rank and file of the party, the leadership of the campaign in 2024 are moving around the country, then this will be the basis for it. Then as a party as part of reorganizing our base, we are also going to embark on membership drive, which the various regions will have the details as to how we are going to go about the membership drive. So by and large, these are the key or salient issues that were discussed at National Council. Again, We don't want people to go out and distort facts. We don't want our members to make irresponsible statements. We are cautioning our members that report is in. We are yet to even deliberate on the report. So people should be very circumspect in their utterances and their discussions on radio. We are one family, and the most important thing is unity in the party. We should watch our utterances. It's not about accusation and counter-accusation. Let's stay focused. The leadership of the party has a roadmap. We know what we are about, and very soon the timetable for all the major activities in the party will be brought out for all of us to know and to prepare ourselves. As to what transpired at NEC and National Council, if you recall, somewhere in January, National Council had an emergency meeting, and at the emergency meeting, the council set up a review committee to do a postmortem of the 2024 elections. And today, the committee led by Reverend Professor Akufo-Addo Baah submitted their report to National Council. The National Council accepted the report, but there are several steps that we need to take as a party. As we receive the report today, we need to sit down and deliberate on the report. And key among the discussions that we had at National Council, and also based on the summary evening presentation that was done by Professor Akufo-Addo Baah, there will be a need for some constitutional amendment. So based on that, the National Council has constituted a 9-member committee to look at Professor Akufo-Addo Baah's report, particularly emphasis on where issues of proposals or amendment has to be made to our constitution. We want to let the media and the good people of Ghana know that we have just received the report today. We are yet to go into the details of what is entailed in the report. In the coming days, whatever we have to bring out to discuss or to communicate to our supporters or our members, the rank and file of our party, we will do so. But we want to caution members of our party not to be in the haste to say things which are not even in the report, and for people to make several assumptions, to even make accusations and counter-accusations on social media and the media. There's only one report, and that report is with National Council. The details will be communicated to the public. So let's take notice of that. Again, as part
Right, Benjamin, to the minority indirectly hinting that, well, despite they not wanting to put the findings in this report public and also cautioning their members, you can at least draw some inferences that constitutional amendments, which means that they accept and agree that there's a challenge and that the report has also brought that findings. We'll go to, would you like to start off with Dr. Asante to tell us what he thinks about the whole idea or the hint of the party's constitutional amendments?
Well, that's exactly where I'm going to start from, Doc. With this entire event that was held, for example, even before it was held and even before we get to that point, we heard the likes of Dr.Amoako Baah, former legislator for that area, say it was going to amount to nothing. But for you, what is your reaction on the back of that? Was this worth anything at all, this meeting to resolve the unresolved issues?
I think that he has made a number of suggestions, but I think some are misplaced. For instance, if you look at the issue of the fact that they want to embark upon, what do you call, membership drive. How do you recruit members when you have a problem in your home that you need to deal with? All right, people believe, and it is true, that there are problems born out of the primaries that the party could not resolve. Conflict resolution mechanisms broke down and they were not able to do that. All that they did, because they were in hurry for the election, they shoved it under the carpet. And we've seen examples in the lives of Addo Asafo coming out to say a lot of things. So all these things are there. You need to address them before people get the appetite to say that we want to believe or belong to this party. All right. But if there are problems and they are still hanging around the necks of people like albatross, I'm afraid you are not going to drive anybody to such a confused state. No. So they have to fix that. There is nothing wrong looking at the constitution of their party to see where they want to start from. That is fine. But you can do that alongside with dealing with lingering challenges that are born out of conflict situation within the party. It is so critical. If they want to turn a blind eye on that, I'm afraid it will backfire. They have to deal with that before they proceed to do any other thing. This is my initial remarks.
And that's why I was asking about those unresolved issues, which now, per this report, they seem to be addressing. But let's also bring in, hold for me, Doc. Let me bring in Dr. Amoako Baah. He's a political scientist. Doc, good morning. It appears we've lost Dr. Amoako Baah there. We'll try to get him back. Of course, he has had a lot to say on this matter. I was going to find out from him, maybe starting from Sarah Addo Asafo's comments, what he makes of them. And of course, he's also proposed that a new party is needed. For those who are aware of it, when the NPP was being formed, it was actually not going to be New Patriotic Party as a name. There was a different name profit, but when it was being mentioned, New Patriotic Party was what was mentioned, and the party stuck to that. But Dr. Amoako Baah is proposing a New Patriotic Front of sorts as a political party and as an alternative to the NPP. He says this is not Kufuor's NPP. We'll try to get him back on the line and see what he has to say. But MFA, maybe we'll go back to Dr. Hassan Asante for a while.
It appears that the call for a constitutional review, the party's constitutional review, is almost becoming very common, because some months ago we spoke to Sami Crab, and he also suggested that that party's constitution needs to be looked at again. But let's go back to Dr. Amoako Baah, who we've been able to connect back. Doc, thank you for joining us this morning. And so Benjamin really wants to know about Benjamin, Doc is back. Okay,
so maybe I'll just go in there. Doc, if we can just hear you so that we know you are with us. Good morning.
Yes, I'm here.
All right. Even before this report could come out, Sarah Addo Asafo, former MP for Dominic-Kwabinya, referred to it as a bogus report. Agree or not?
Pretty much. The person who has a report brings credibility to the report or not. And in this case, since he was a member of the ruling government before, how come he is the one who is doing this report?
So pretty much meaning it was bogus?
I wouldn't call it bogus, but it's not the best. There are better people who could have done this so that you don't bring any of these issues to bear. You see, you're already looking suspicious. Don't add to it. Don't pick your own man from the same people. How can a person who was part of it, couldn't he advise the president the things that went wrong? Couldn't he advise the president ahead of time? And if he can fix it now, why didn't he fix it before? What is this? As if there are no people in the party? This is the problem. He was speaker. The MP said they didn't want him because he was running roughshod over them. These are their words. The president didn't agree. He said, that's the one I want. So they went to vote, and I suspect some MPP members voted for Babin. That is what happened. Are you happy? You could have changed him and brought your own MPP person to be the new speaker, but because of your recalcitrant nature, is what happened. Now, if you say you're the reason why the party has failed, you don't understand it. All these things contributed to it.
Okay, so before we get into who was mentioned as having some culpability. MFL will come through with that. But let me just find out from you, what are your brief takeaways from this report? What, in a nutshell, does this report expose as far as the problems of the MPP are concerned?
Well, instead of mentioning people, they should have said the MPP leadership was responsible for our failure and protect all the others. You say 9%, this one is 13%, this one is 36%, all the way to 67%. No, these people you mentioned are the very leaders of MPP. They're leaders. So the leaders failed it. That's what happened. Look, MPP history, they said they are going to do this. When did you start hearing this? This election season, they started saying that. So it means this election season, they're going to do better and do what they've never done before. Go beyond 8 years. Breaking the 8, breaking the 8, breaking the 8, breaking the 8, breaking the 8. The 8 broke them. You understand? Literally, the 8 broke them. And you see, they are telling you they are going to do better than any ever. They get worse. The worst ever be. Who tells that there's something wrong? These people, they didn't even see the problem they had, and they just took them back. They didn't see it coming. That the sentiment that people had was angry and was coming, they didn't see. Because they were lying self-centered people. The chicken came home bruised. That's what happened. For lying self, believing their own lie, breaking the 8, breaking the 8. Now something had to start to say, another is less than have. What? Oh.
We're losing you briefly. You were saying something about Nanado.
Yes. Some MPP people were saying he is the best president Ghana has ever had. With this result, the people are vindicating him now? No. He is the worst one. The people have spoken. This is what they said. I'm not the one saying it. The worst. So they voted against your party massively.
Doc,
what do you say now? Yes.
Let's turn our attention to the Global Info Analytics, and they have sort of zeroed in and narrowed it down to persons who think may have contributed largely to the 2024 defeat, or maybe the state in which the NPP party is now. And you have just talked about the former president. But what also interests me is that the former finance minister seemed to have come second to be part of the top 5 that contributed. Another thing that has my attention is Kennedy Agyapong, who even found expression in this analysis, because I would have thought that all he did really was to try to want to be a flag bearer. In your analysis and from where you sit, how do you think him particularly contributed to this?
Oh, some of the opponent used some of his pronouncements against the party, you see. So when you say things, you have to catch it in a way, try to explain it a little bit. Don't just take shortcut and say it, because they use it against him. And that's what happened. But he didn't go out purpose, denigrate the party. So it's just the way he calls the culture feeling. Sometimes he was frustrated. And what he said was true, you see. And yet, use it against him. But if you look at it properly, it means the headline could be NPP national leaders cause defeat. Also, all of them are national leaders. Also, all of them right to the president. Who is in it? Who is not a national leader? MPP, big guys. They cause the defeat. That's what it is.
But if you, just because Kennedy Agyapong has come into the fray, he personally went after the presidential candidate of the party, even in that presidential primary, that is Dr. Baah, who would later become the candidate of the party. He went after him personally. Some say the sort of rhetoric also painted the vice president poorly in the eyes of the Ghanaian public. But do you find it interesting that the person seemed to be the least contributor on that list is Kennedy Agyapong? Do you find that interesting?
Yeah, I find it very interesting, which means those people who are pointing at him to say that he is the cause of our failure should be careful. Yes, he contributed it in a way, and no matter what you do, you contribute to it. So because you are part of the leadership. But look what happened. The president tried to shenanigans for Baah, and I was that, because I knew if the president had not put these elements in the party, it is possible Bawumia would have won first, so that all the others will follow him and help. And when the president every month, if you don't vote for him or fight, you do that. That is meant. People don't like. You don't have to vote for, and still call it focus.
Doc, we'd appreciate it if you could just move around a bit. It appears we are losing the connection. It's not so clear. So let's try and rectify that. In the meantime, MFL will go to Dr. Asante.
Dr. Asante, let's start again with you. It will be the first time you'll be commenting on the global info analytics. And again, I'll start with you with the vice president. Why? Because he came third. The finance minister came second after the president. In fact, it is the red representation on the graph for me. Now, do you think that Bawumia came third in his right as a politician, or because of what people describe as he is a shadow of the president? How do you think he came third?
I have a fundamental problem with the study. With the study, in the sense that, are we saying that Ghanaians went to the poll to vote against NDC because Nana Akufo-Addo did 1, 2, 3, or Furata did X, Y, Z, and the rest of them? Is it the case? No. It means that people are not alive to the literature that influenced voter choices in this country. In this country, people don't vote based on, personalities and all those things. They are just minor. I will group the major issues and minor issues. The major issues are the issues that relate to the economy. The major issues are the issues that relate to the fight against corruption. The major issues are the issues that relate to what? Dealing with what? Infrastructure development, unemployment, and the rest of them. So, when you are saying that Nana Akufo-Addo caused it, then I want to get better and further particulars. In what ways? Is it the case that we had wrong policies? Is it the case that we had what? Problems that the president couldn't solve and all that? If that is the case, then you can put all under the umbrella of what? Bad governance, which includes the fact that there were certain basics. Because if you look at our governance from its definition, we are talking about those who steer the affairs of the state. All right. Did they steer the affairs of the state well? It comes back to these general issues I'm talking about. So personalities, all right, will yes contribute, but they are what? Very, very, very little. Look at the cocoa seller who want the economy to be improved. And you have an economy which is facing inflation at each point in time. He is not blaming Nana Akufo-Addo, who is leaving office at the end of what? 2024. But he's looking at the fact that Bawumia, who is supposed to be part of the economic management team, and they have also touted about him as the Adam Smith of our time, could not change the economic fortunes of the people. On that basis, they want to vote and vote against him. All right. But if we say that these personalities are those who cause it, then anytime we are going for election, we are looking at personalities and their performance and vote for that. Is it the case? It is not. But it's on bread and butter issue. When the economy improves, it rubs off everybody. All right. It is true that some of the utterances, the actions of these people also dovetail into what I am discussing are the major issues. But I tell you, if you want to say that people went to the poll just to vote against NDC because Kennedy Pong, for instance, had made certain disparaging remarks, and for that matter, that is why you want the government out. That is too far-fetched.
A quick follow-up on that point. At least some of what we've heard, though we are not privy to the entirety of the report or the report in any way, shape, or form. Some have said when the president's name, the former president's name is mentioned, for example, it is linked to another person who features prominently on that list, former Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta, and the fact that he did not sack him even when members of parliament from the then majority side did what was unprecedented in the Fourth Republic and said he had to go. That those actions put together, at least this is one of the major ones, which is why people mention the former president as well. Does that make any sense or not?
That I also find it very interesting in the sense that, look, eventually Akufo-Addo was asked, and then Amin Adams came in. Was there anything better? The economy. They have run down the economy through reckless policies and programs.
But Doc, you just said that people voted on things like the economy. Who was at the helm of the economy? Ken Ofori-Atta. Who appointed Ken Ofori-Atta? Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo.
Yes. So if that logic is anything to go by, all right, Akufo-Addo left the scene. One would have thought that the economy would gain its health in no time. What happened? We still had, poor economy. And that is the crust of the matter is the economy. If, Amin Adams and Co had been able to fix the economy to the point that every ordinary Ghanaian had experienced an improvement in his or her life, the story would have been different. So it tells you that personalities, yes, they have little contributions, all right? But the real issue is about governance. And the governance indicators point toward the economy as a whole. So if you are a manager of the economy, you are not able to do it and do it well, I'm afraid it will slip through your fingers. If you are not able to fight corruption, which they were just, keeping it under the carpet, this and that, but Transparency International report were too much heavily against the government in the sense that the report favored what? NDC more than the NPP. Right? These are the governance indicators, but not the individual. The individual contributions were there anyway. Let's look at even places in specific constituency where Galamsey was there. Was it the case that they were voting against Bawumia or Akufo-Addo or Napo because of what? Whatever they did? Because of constituency-specific issues. Galamsey is taking our arable lands. We are destroying what? Our cocoa. And our livelihoods are getting destroyed. And we don't have a government in place to deal with it. And that they will punish the government because of this. I want to admit that individuals, their contributions will contribute. But that will not be the factors why people vote one way or the other. I challenge that. Unless, of course, you are not alive to the literature on voter choices. Then we want to say that personalities would drive Ghanaian politics. But it's not true. I will urge everybody to go and talk on the literature that influence voter choices. It's not about personalities. It's not. Far from it.
Doc, let's reference the Osai Chairman's report as well from the Ashanti region. He also cited voter apathy and said that it was a major contributor. And again, it will come back to the point that you're making, that people will vote based on the economy. I mean, since I was a child, if I started following politics, it looks like some of the things that Ghanaians said were the problem in 2024, you'd find at the time that the NDC lost as well in the 2016 elections. But the point of voter apathy, which would mean that for the NPP itself, members didn't show up to want to vote. Does it contribute in any way that the persons that were the leaders of the party, their members themselves were not excited about how they were leading the economy, which is why they didn't even turn out at all, which the NPP themselves believe that if they went out to vote, maybe they would have won?
That theory too, people do not understand that. They said that their members didn't go to vote. In political science, if you have, say, support base of 20 in this constituency, you expect that at least all of them will come and vote for you. And you have only 15 showing, or let's say only 10 showing up. What it means is that you are going to share the 10 votes with your opponents and that you have lost 10 already. It means that the people voted indirectly against MPP. It's not that they did not go there to vote, personally or physically, but indirectly, they abstained. It's an indirect vote against you. That is another way of voting. They voted in because 10 didn't go. So instead of what? Looking for a vote of 20, you are now struggling with 10 with your opponent. And here you are. If one of them had come to make it 11, your figure would have improved better than what they didn't go. So it's an indirect way of what? Voting against you. And then the next logical question is that what caused them not to go and vote after electing a government of their own? Giving that government 2020 massive vote of 1 million vote difference. What changed that they decided not to go and vote for a government they put into office? That is the $1 million question they need to answer. And another one, which people say, and I ask myself, that they are out of logic. What is the guarantee that the people, even if all of them went to the poll, they would have voted for you? People change their minds at the poll at every minute. And who says that we're going to vote for you? No, those are not the issues. The issues, the main issues, they are running away. There are in elections, there are national issues, there are regional issues, there are constituency-specific issues. You need to be able to abreast yourself with all of them so as to develop strategic messages at the national, regional, and constituency level to deal with it. They fail to do that.
All right. Speaking of strategies, Dr. Richard Amoako Baah, I just want to find out from you, the strategy of the NPP not to release this document, this report, into the public space. Some say it is apt, others say it should be put out so that the base of the party can also assess whether the party has really done its due diligence in terms of what led to this monumental upset in 2024. From where you sit, is this a good strategy? Dr. Richard Amoako Baah, are you with us? Hello, Doc. Okay, we shall try one more time to see whether we can connect with Dr. Richard Amoako Baah. I think he was on the line, but somehow maybe he was speaking and we could not grasp what he was saying. MFA, what do you think about that, even before we push it back to Dr. Asante? What do you think of that, the strategy?
I think that I'm tempted to support the NPP on the strategy. Well, because you cannot control it all from the beginning to the end. Some part of it at all costs will find expression into the public domain, as Dr. Asante has indicated even earlier. But I would not think that an organization, which I like to view the NPP as an organization, will intentionally want to put out their weaknesses. For example, if they did a SWOT analysis and then thought that these are our strengths, these are our weaknesses, they would want to hand it over easily to the public. One, because it's a political party and their opponents definitely would want to latch on that and use that. And you don't expect that the entire NPP as a party would have the strong mind to want to defend after they have done that. I really doubt which political party would want to do that, though we like to think we may see part of it. In fact, their own press conference yesterday indicated that some part of it is already finding expression in the public domain. But of course, Dr. Asante is the expert on this. What do you think? Should they really just release it or deal with it like some classified document?
It will definitely get to the public. But as you rightly pointed it out, they have to keep some to their chest. Their weaknesses, they can't throw all out. It will become as what raw materials for opposition to look at and then build on, and for the fight against them 2028. So there are some they want to throw out. There are some they want to keep to their chest. No problem. But the real things in there that militated against their success in the election, they have to take time and fix that. The personalities that people are now pushing blames from this survey to that, please, they are minor issues. Supposing that we clear all these people, will MPP win power? Will MPP win power? People are going to, supposing all of them, they lose their seats, we get fresh leaders coming to lead the party. People are going to base MPP performance on their records, their economic records, their human rights records, their records on the fight against corruption. That's it. And so the individuals, what they do does not, it's unless, of course, it borders on the government so much so that you can separate the two. But it's all about the economy, infrastructure, fight against corruption. Do are the main issue. Look at somebody like Napo. People criticize him a lot for some of the things that he said, which I also did. But people said he's insolent, he's so and so, he's so snobbish and all that. Those things do not influence voter choices. If you have a president who is, not respectful of any human being, and he can put 3 square meals on your table every day, would you support that president or not? We have seen Trump in America. Maybe you will say it's a different society. Because if you read Dan's theory about voter choices, it's saying that we base it on what rational choice, things that will improve our lot, is the basis on which that what we vote for people into office. Your attitude, your behavior, they do not matter that much, all right? But the things that will change my economic life, my political life, those are the things I'm looking forward to. So it doesn't matter that much. But of course, I also concede that some of their utterances were loose and all that. But Bawumia said a whole lot of things about what he can do relative to the economy. All right. But when he had opportunity, he couldn't fix them. But it all dovetail into the economic argument. He as a person pushed Bawumia aside. And today, people will go to the polls using MPP record to judge whether they are capable of ruling the country again. It's not their leaders. Leaders will come and go. They are birds of passage. But the economic works of the people will stand. Look at Buzia, it's dead and gone many years ago. But the UP tradition still lingers on. And they still build on some of the good things Buzia did. Kufuor is not in government. But some of the things that he did are the things Nana Addo stood on and won power. All right? Some of the things Nana Addo has done, in spite of all the, the problems that he had, are going to be something that people will cash on that to campaign during 2028 election. There's no doubt about that. Can you say that MPP can go to the polls without talking about free SHS and the benefit that it gives to this country? Then you are talking about the economy. You are talking about a political decision that robs of everybody. Individuals will come and go. Where is Dangwa? Dangwa is dead and gone. But his works are still here with us. Kwame Nkrumah is dead and gone. But his works are still being mentioned every day. It's records, records, records.
Right before you take leave of us, and I know MFL will come through with a bit, but I'm just curious, what does this do for the MPP in terms of this report, in terms of making it a viable contender in election 2028, this report, and trying to find out where its foibles were, so to speak? And they are also embarking on a thank you tour. Some have said for what exactly, but what is your take on these two?
Let me start with a thank you tour. Yes, you can engage in that.
Doc, please hold for me, because we've not been able to engage Dr.Amoako Baah. Let me quickly try and see whether he can get back to us. Dr.Amoako Baah, can you hear me, sir?
Yes, I can hear you.
All right. So just to wrap, we wanted to find out, first off, the viability of the MPP going into election 2028 on the back of this report, and they are embarking on a thank you tour. What's your take?
When you lose the election this colossally, you don't go and thank the people. Thank them for what? You apologize for whatever made them upset to the extent that they will not vote for you. So be honest now. Even when you are that statement, you are honest. Thank you, Doctor. Who thank somebody for not voting? No. I apologize not to. That is
okay. And you also talk about the new patriotic front. Can you just tell us a bit about what the plan is?
I didn't hear you.
You also talk about forming a new patriotic front. Can you tell us what exactly the plan is for that?
Well, you see, we don't do this lightly. Under normal circumstances, you will form your party if there is problems within. But the way the structure is handled, those who are the proper and but so they are not deciding the part. They won't do that. They have to take out other actions. He put a but he's got it. But we are to dictate the back and his home. They should end. On fourth, when he brought the brother how can they? So who then advise the president? Nobody. This is what
Thank you, Doc. Unfortunately, we can't hear you too well. We'll wrap with Dr. Kwame Asante, MFA.
Yeah. Doc, you asked Doc a question before. It was just about wrapping up on this conversation. I don't quite remember the question, but it will be just the moment that...
So the bit about the MPP's viability ahead of 2028 and also the thank you tour.
I think that is unnecessary. They don't need that. The party doesn't need that. All that they need is to fix the problems that affect the party, address that. And then you can just make a national broadcast to thank everybody for those support given to you, and then apologize for all the problems that you encountered. That's it. But use that resource of going around 276 constituency to thank people, to fix the problems within the party. And that is the first step. Then the other thing, that is still a viable party. Yes, remember, Ghana is what a two-party, operate a two-party system, two dominant parties. The rest are dwarf parties, NDC, MPP. So, yes, MPP is in power, and NDC is in power. MPP is still a strong, formidable force. It's a government in waiting. One day, it will definitely come to power. And Ghanaians switch from NDC to NPP. So, they have to do their homework very well. But as to when they will come to office, nobody knows. And that is what the role of Ghanaians to decide whether they will give them mandate anytime soon. But they are part of the two dominant parties. There's no doubt about that. They are those parties who will win power for now. The rest of the parties, they are just observers.
Right, Doc, thank you so much for joining us today on our big stories. You're watching the AM show, Benjamin. We'll just take a quick one. We'll be back with more. Please stay.